Good morning. Thank you all for joining us at the Naval Air Systems Command booth at Sea Air Space. We have a wonderful group of speakers joining us here today in person and virtually over LinkedIn over the next 3 days. Once our speaker has finished his presentation, you'll be allowed to ask questions and one additional follow-up question should you have one. So let's welcome our first speaker for today. Rear Admiral Brian Corey leads the Program Executive Office for Unmanned Aviation and Strike Weapons. He oversees a multi-billion-dollar portfolio, which includes 9 program offices. Now, before we welcome him to the stage today, we have a short video to share with you. Thank you.
Okay, Jamie, Katie, thanks for the video. That was a world premiere for me as well. So some of those videos just came in last night, actually, and a lot of activity has taken place over the last year. And so, first of all, fabulous to see so many faces that I recognize from the government industry team. People I've worked with over the years, and even though some of us are masked, we're able to pull this event off. So thank you all for coming. Thank you for your interest in the PEO UNW portfolio. I am enormously proud of the work that our team has done, figuring out in the global pandemic how to answer our DoD leaders when they said, I've got a little echo here, I'm going to move around. He doesn't want me to move around, okay? He'll figure it out. As we figured out how to keep the economy flowing early last spring, many of us, so much has happened, you may not remember that, but some of our long-standing rules, some of our long-standing regulations were relaxed temporarily. Our contracts, our business folks were told, go, get with industry, get business moving, and you saw some of the effects of that in the video. So again, I'm enormously proud. As I speak here today, our team is back home, figuring out what the next era is going to be. Work from home, distributed work. How are we going to get through whatever this next phase of this pandemic is? I have enormous faith and confidence that our team will continue to adapt and they'll continue to perform. Let's go to the next slide. So first of all, our PEO is made up of 9 program offices. There are 5 of them on the weapons side. There are 4 of them on the unmanned side. And I have given the Navy credit for being visionary in forming this portfolio. I think if we were to go back and talk to those who actually lived it, they probably weren't that brilliant. It was probably a marriage of convenience. But as it has turned out, as autonomous systems have begun to be developed, it is truly proven from my perspective to be a wise marriage of some of our earliest UAVs are our targets portfolio. So the expertise that our targets group has on how to fly a relatively cheap mission package, how to be able to swap out things that make our ships and our aircraft more lethal on an everyday basis by having common systems and modular payloads, have proven to be very valuable as we brought on our unmanned systems. And likewise, HARM is the first autonomous weapon that was developed back in the 80s. A lot of people say, will America ever embrace autonomous weapons? I'll say ever since shortly after the Vietnam War, we've shot thousands of autonomous weapons in combat. And so it really is a range of skills that our folks can bring to bear. And the sharing that our 9 program managers have, that the engineers across the board that I've been able to witness over the last 3 years, has truly been remarkable. And I know that's what's going to keep us going. So smoke, fire, and video goes a long way in our business, right? So I know you all saw the Tomahawk come out of the ship. I know you saw the weapon go through the reinforced concrete. Some of you probably know enough to know how that concrete was made. I doubt many of you saw the mission planning prototype. There was a bunch of dots on a screen, looked like a computer on the screen. I will tell you that's probably the most important thing that was on that little video, because our team has embraced cloud computing. They've embraced all the things that have revolutionized the American economy, and they're bringing a much simpler way of doing collaborative mission planning across all services, at sea, ashore, expeditionary environments, so that we can bring our interoperable systems to bear. It is a fabulous effort that is underway in total partnership with the U.S. Air Force, and that partnership is stronger than it has been in decades. I'm enormously proud of that team, and I'm really excited about their future. Okay, next. So many of these highlights you saw on the video, but let me expand on them just a little bit. The TRUAS, which is up in the upper left out at the Yuma Proving Grounds, that system is now in the hands of Marines that are using it every single day, and they are trying to figure out how do we really make, and I don't remember if it was Amazon or whoever it was that did the Super Bowl commercial where the little girl gets her package at her front door, but we are doing that today with our warfighters. Why drive a Humvee across a road where you may have an IED in the way if you can fly the bullets or the MREs or the water to a distributed unit in the field? Much more efficient, much more effective. The thing that I think the Marine Corps is really doing that's exciting is that's being run by the logistics side. So it's not being run by the aviation part of the Marine Corps. And so for the first time, we have, not the first time necessarily, but the first time in recent memory, it is the mission first, and the platform is not all that interesting. And that will be a theme as I go through the rest of the discussion. In the not too distant future, if our vision becomes reality, the platforms will be the most boring thing that we have going on. Our industrial partners, our engineers that we have at NavAir can make just about anything fly. Quadcopters, helicopters, airplanes. You know, I spent 2 years learning how to fly. It can now be done on a chip, right? So the flying part is not that interesting. What is interesting is the mission payloads, how we put that together, how we network them, and then obviously how we use them. Moving across the top, the AARGM-ER separation. The HARM family of systems have been rail launched. We had to move to an ejection launch rocket system, and if you don't pay attention to the engineering required there, that probably doesn't mean a whole lot. But if that's the part of your business, I'll tell you that is the way of the future. It's going to allow us to get extended range and more lethality from our weapons. So pretty excited about that effort, not only for its capability, but for the learning that takes place. I'll continue across the top then. Triton IFC-4, it looks like a Global Hawk. It's a Global Hawk airframe. It's actually been modified substantially. We have Triton flying now in the 7th Fleet Area of Responsibility. It's been out for over a year. It is doing better than we expected, and it makes a difference every single day. What this version does is it brings the multi-int or the SIGINT capability that we have had in manned aircraft for decades and puts it into that airframe. It is an absolute engineering marvel. I had the ability to walk around that airplane when the panels were off and to see the number of boxes and to see the cables, the connectors that bring all of those sensors onto that platform. Pretty excited about that. It is on track. Tomahawk Block 5, it has been delivered. I won't say anything more except that weapon is much more lethal than it has been in the past, and it is deployed. The next one that most people don't pay enough attention to is our support for our allies and partners. So 6th Fleet asked us to put the ability to do supersonic launches for the NATO forces in the European theater. And in a handful of months, our guys figured out how to develop a launcher in cooperation with the Army. The launchers we use today are actually obsolete Vietnam-era ship launchers. And so we had to remanufacture something that had not been done in decades. And we had to get it overseas in the Hebrides, and we had to do it when the entire UK was locked down. They did it on time, and a major exercise, you may have seen it, it was in the defense press, looked like it's what we do every single day. I'll tell you, it was very, very difficult for our team to deliver that on time. They got it done, and they got it done safely. You saw the video of the MQ-25. How many engineers do we have in the audience? All right, I hope you won't be offended. We all know that Dilbert says there comes a time in every project where you must shoot the engineer, right? In this case, I will tell you that some folks thought that the MQ-25 might flip over on its back. I don't know how. I don't know why they thought that was okay, but I tell you, there's nothing like video in a demonstration. The tanking evolution was not planned for 2 years in this program. But when we had one of our risk reduction, our risk reviews and opportunity matrices, we said, hey, we think we can pull this thing forward by a couple of years and prove that we can do that tanking. And you saw the proof there in the video. We think we're going to get the E2 next. Stay tuned. We'll see if we can pull that one off. And then I already talked to you about the live fire next. So UAS overview. I'll tell you, my vision will be this will be just USB thumb drives in a few years, and the platforms will not be that important. I think the next era of evolution is going to be on this side, the Group 3s, 300 pounds and below. Industry is innovating all over the world. The commercial market is driving tremendous innovation. What we have to do in DoD, what we have to do in the US Navy and Marine Corps is figure out how to create that USB hub so that we have a family of ground systems, we have a family of networks, we have a method of communication, we have a user display that is simple so that I don't need to train as pilots have done for decades. You go from an Airbus to a Boeing in private aviation, you know, United or American, you pick your airline of choice, they go to school. We want to make that totally transparent to the operator. That's what we've been demanded by Navy and Marine Corps leadership. They want to reduce the manpower required to maintain. We want to reduce the manpower and the training required to operate. We think we can do it. It will not be easy, and it will require some incredible teaming that we haven't invented yet with industry. The larger aircraft, I don't see those changing out as often, but our goal is to make those aircraft modular and to be able to add and change capability very, very rapidly. And again, same type of principles in terms of ground stations, networks, user displays, and simplicity. Our goal for the MQ-25 is to have the smallest footprint of of an aircraft that we've ever brought to an aircraft carrier. Our Air Boss has given us a goal. I'm not going to say what it is because I don't know that I can meet it. But I will tell you it is extremely aggressive. Number of maintainers, the amount of support equipment, the volume and the weight that we bring on board the aircraft carrier will be the smallest it's ever been. Or I will have a new job, not wearing this uniform. Okay, next. So I've already covered this a little bit, but I wanted to put the words up here for some of our industry partners that may want to remember them. Flexible command and control in our battle space networks is absolutely our focus. We are partnered with the U.S. Air Force. You've seen a lot of the letters. I won't repeat them here, but our networks must be redundant, resilient in a contested and in a denied environment. We are working with that, and we're making a lot of progress. Flexible tiered family of systems is what I describe as that USB type of mentality, so that I can plug and play a new mission area. I can plug and play a new system. I put ISR&T up here for a reason that's what most people think about our systems. The reality is we're probably going to be delivering a lot more logistics parts than we're doing ISR&T. I don't think we have to choose. So our intent is for our platforms to be multi-mission and the operators can switch back and forth. Man-to-man teaming. You pick up any industry article about unmanned systems, you'll see people talking about man-to-man teaming. I think the term has almost lost relevance because I think there's probably 1,000 different variations. That's going to be a focus area, and I think we need to flesh out what we actually mean by man-to-man teaming. I do not believe it is a manned aircraft driving around his little buddy, as many others do, although that's part of it. Sense and avoid. MQ-25 is going to be the first platform that we put out that we intentionally hit with a manned aircraft. We're going to go out and we're going to tank, right? So we are going to be in absolute close proximity, and we're going to be coming on and off an aircraft carrier with incredibly dense aircraft traffic. The way we have operated on manned systems to date has been through segregation or deconfliction. We have to learn how to completely interoperate. And in order to do that, our future is going to require us to be able to get in and out of any airspace throughout the world in ways that we have not done in the past. Sense and avoid will be a big part of that. There's a revolution waiting to happen that allows us to do sense and avoid with a handful of sensors without paying again and again with each individual platform. Some really good ideas are out there and they're underway, and I'm looking forward to some solutions there. Next. Weapons overview. We've got a lot of weapons in our portfolio. Sustaining our legacy weapons while we make room for the future is definitely our challenge. Our intent is to increase our range, increase our lethality. And we're going to do that by changing our approach to modularity. We have partnered with the NAVSEA systems in ways that we have not been able to do in the past. We're partnering with the U.S. Air Force. Next. So just a quick cartoon of what that looks like. It's nothing new in avionics, modular open systems architecture. We have had highly integrated weapons in the recent past. Our all-up rounds, highly integrated. We think we can use some of these open systems architecture in partnership with other people that do this sort of business, and that work is well underway. Next. So if you follow in 20-year trends, Vietnam era, a lot of weapons falling off of airplanes, hitting near a target, hoping to destroy something. That next era was bringing what the press calls smarts into our weapons. And so what we did is we traded capacity for capability. And I think we've ridden that horse into the desert. We have put LRASM out in this PEO in the last couple of years. It's a fabulous weapon, but we do not have a lot of them. You simply can't continue on that trend. So we must reverse that trend. So I'm looking to rebalance. We're looking to focus for affordability. We have a strategy to do that. I'm not going to go into details here. It would be inappropriate. But we must give our nation the ability to get back to quantity by using some of the principles I just described. We think we can do that and increase speed, increase range through the use of modularity. Next. So I talked fairly fast, went through it. I see the first hands are up. We'll go ahead and take a question. Do we have a mic for the question? Thanks.
Hi, Steve Trumbull with Aviation Week. Thank you for doing this. On the autonomy and manned-unmanned teaming, we've heard a lot from the Air Force about Skyborg and their vision for that. On the Navy side, I understand DARPA's code program has transitioned to NAVAIR in the Raider program. So I was wondering if you could elaborate on that, what the Navy's vision is for that, sort of a heterogeneous autonomous control system for swarm UAVs and that sort of thing. Is there a path to applying it?
Well, the short answer, Steve, is yes. And I know it's probably going to frustrate you a little bit. The Air Force is more public about what they're doing in the future. Okay, and the Navy is just simply not going to tell our potential adversaries exactly what we're doing. You laid it out fairly well to the extent that I'm willing to go into those details. The code program has done a lot of great work that is applicable on both the weapons side as well as the UAS side. Autonomy is another term that frustrates me, to be quite frank, because so many people they see a Tesla, or you pick your commercial version out driving around, and why can't you do it in aviation? Well, the answer is we can, and we are, but it is different, and it requires applied research. So that's the shift that I'm looking for, Steve, is out of the pure scientist world where we're flying these little toys in a cage, perhaps, and into a world that has real UASs operating in close proximity to manned aviation, where we can start to build the trust of our operators. What we have found with some of our most complicated systems we put out, absolute amazing engineering feats. How do you teach an operator to trust what autonomy is going to do? That is one of our bigger challenges. Is that enough of an answer? Yeah, thanks.
Hi, Sam LeGrone with USNI. Could you talk a little bit more about where y'all are in that mission planning software? Is that a program of record? Is that something internal to the government? Are y'all working with a contractor on that? Just could you put it in context with the rest of the enterprise? Thank you.
Sam, thanks. It's a little bit of all of those. So there is a baseline program of record in our mission planning. We have, under the more recent authorities that Congress has given us, called Section 804, if you follow that, we have a rapid prototype, which is what you just saw, that is underway, that will deliver some capability, and we intend to transition to a full program of record in partnership with our Air Force colleagues. So there is software being, and industry was part of the question that I didn't intend to dodge. There are multiple small businesses that are partnered with us, and then there are some of the larger ones. So we don't have a single a strategy to go to a single integrator, for instance. Our government team currently is the integrator. Yeah, so we didn't get the mic over there. So those in the back, is it a theater tool? Is it a tactical tool? The answer is we have products for all of them. The one that I demonstrated is absolutely a tactical tool. It will bridge with operational tools that are underway, that are being developed by the Digital Warfare Office and some others. And it will also bridge to theater tools. So those efforts are being done in concert. They are complementary, but the one I showed you was a tactical tool. Okay. Looks like that's it.
Is it? All right. Well, we thank you all for joining us today. Thank you, sir. Wonderful presentation.